Today we're doing something a little bit different and we're taking a look at aggressive inline on the original Xbox. Welcome to Rad Rat Video. Here we usually talk about topics from all over the skateboarding world, like trick histories and game reviews. Subscribe so you don't miss out on stuff like that in the future. But today, we're doing something a little bit different and we're talking about aggressive inline. I've really been wanting to play this game for a while, and I was thinking maybe doing it close to April Fools would be a good enough excuse to play a rollerblading game, but the thing is, this game is actually really good. It was developed by Z-Axis Games, who are the guys who made Skate and Destroy for the PlayStation, as well as the Dave Mirra BMX series, so they actually know what they're doing. It came out in 2002, which is after Pro Skater 3 but before Pro Skater 4. And that's interesting because it does a lot of stuff better than Tony Hawk 4 did. And the official Xbox magazine gave this game the Best Extreme Sports Game of the Year award in 2002 over Tony 4. IGN also rated this over Tony 4. I don't remember hearing a lot about this game back then, and it never got a sequel, and that's probably only because it's inline, and nobody really cares about inline. It was already starting to die out at that point. You can see my history of that right here. But it's really worth checking out, so let's take a look at it. So the gameplay and the controls of this game will be immediately recognizable to any Tony Hawk fan, but since it's inline, obviously there are less tricks. You've got a lot of grabs and a handful of body flips and aerial type of stuff like that, but they added in a few other things to help fill it out, like grabbing onto poles, vaulting, spinning around, which is cool. There are also spine transfers, which is a year before Hawk. It's only on ramps that have these arrows on them, but still, it's there. One problem you might have is reverting into manuals, or cess slides in this case. In the Tony Hawk games, you just kind of rock the D-pad up and down a few times and you land in a manual no problem. In this game, you have to specifically hit up and then down with perfect timing to get it to work. Some of the high score challenges were really hard because of that. And some challenges where you have to link things together get pretty tough too. It's annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. Something else you'll notice in this game is that it has features you wouldn't see in Tony Hawk for years. For example, the way stats work. Instead of collecting stat points or money to buy stat points, you just naturally get better the more you do stuff. As you do more and more wall rides, for example, that stat will grow and you'll get better and better at it as you play. Tony Hawk did something like that in Underground 2 years later, but even then, these were more like challenges you could complete rather than just a natural progression. But the biggest innovation is the way that the challenges are handled. So remember, this is after Tony Hawk 3, which is old school. 2-minute timer, do as many things you can in that time. But this game does it so much better. You're set loose in a level, and you're given some challenges. These aren't timed, and you can just do them whenever. Like in this level, you have to grind the chains holding this boulder. If this was Tony Hawk 4, you'd have 2 minutes to go find it, grind up this tree and around the ledge, and go get it before time runs out. But in this game, it's actually smart. You can pause it and check out the different challenges, even watching a video that shows you where it is. The difficulty comes from actually doing the thing, not having to wander around and find it on time. Then you can take as many attempts as you need to without worrying about a timer. When you beat the challenge, often something will happen, like in this case when the boulder falls and it changes the level. Tony Hawk didn't even catch up with this until Underground 2. Another cool example is when you have to grind this rope to help a plane take off. Planes don't work that way. It needs air to move above the wing to cause a pressure difference. That's not important. It looks cool and it was a lot of fun. On top of that stuff, there are gaps and other things you have to do while you're playing, sketching buses, beating photo challenges, and things like that. There are still high scores, but they build up over time, so you can reach 1 million points or so from just playing the game. It just helps keep you focused on doing good tricks and combos as you travel around. There are also some time score challenges in there too. One thing I wasn't used to was the trick challenges, like having to do a fast slide down this dinosaur in the museum. I don't know anything about inline or inline tricks, so in addition to actually finding and hitting the gap, I'd have to pause and go through the menus to figure out how to do that specific move. In Tony Hawk, the controls are kind of intuitive if you know anything about skateboarding. The angle of the board corresponds to the control layout pretty well, but it doesn't really work here. Also, I had some trouble with some of the grabs that have angles, like upright grab and some stuff like that, but I think that's more of an Xbox issue than a problem with the game. Let's talk about the levels. There are 7 of them. They all contain a power-up that will give you a boost, and a key, which we'll talk about later. They each have a different look and feel, and they all feel alive. The Civic Center has a lot of statues and sculptures that are the focus of the level. grind it to make it move, then grind from the wing over to the sword. While you might do similar stuff in other levels, they do a good job of sticking each one to a theme. One of the cool things is that these are mostly related to skating in one way or another. Yeah, you're doing some weird stuff here and there, but for the most part, there isn't a lot of pointless story stuff that gets in the way. It's about tricks and scores and finding out how to hit certain gaps. In the first level, you have to grind this traffic light pole. It doesn't tell you how to do it, and it isn't obvious. There are actually a few different ways you can figure out how to get up to it. And I think that's cool because it feels like something you might actually do. You see a cool spot and you have to figure out the best way to do something on it. Maybe I can gap to it from over here. Let me try that again. Maybe my stats aren't good enough. Is it possible to hit from this angle? I mentioned this game in my Tony Hawk 4 review and said that it made me enjoy that game less. Seeing how this game set everything up is really great. I just really wish this dude was riding a skateboard. I miss having flip tricks and a lot of the different manuals and that kind of stuff. But it's important to remember that this is the very first game in the series. It's not like we're already 4 games deep and there's been a lot of time to build and expand the trick set yet. If there was an aggressive Inline 2, it probably would have been amazing. So you work your way through the levels, grinding stuff and beating challenges. You end up in a car plant grinding on robot arms and stuff like that. Then you go to a carnival and you do stalls on some of the rides. That's a pretty good amount of challenge here. Some of the long grinds and the combos you have to do will really push your reflexes. Some can get really annoying though, like this one, where you have to air over a swinging ride in the carnival. The only way you can tell where it is by looking at the shadow, and trying to time it out is almost impossible. It'll just hit you most of the time. I don't think I even cleared it this last time when it finally counted. Another thing that kinda sucks is your juice meter. It fills up as you do tricks, but if it ever completely runs out, you get a game over, and you have to buy your way back in with your points. That means whatever progress you've made toward the high score in that level is gone. So sometimes you're working on a gap or something, and you won't be keeping your juice flowing, and you just get kicked out of the game. I don't really get why this is a part of the game. There's no positive, fun aspect to getting a game over. It just takes you some time to get back to where you left off, and you have to sit through these load screens. It's lame. Another thing you can do is make your own park in designated areas in the main levels. In this one, you make stuff out of ice in a giant freezer, and you have to get the score before everything melts. It's kinda cool, but I can never really get into park building stuff in any of these games. I made one ramp which shattered, and then I just did tricks on flat the whole time. At the end of the game, there's a museum, and there's a key there, and if you get that, it will unlock an area in the first level, which will have another key to the second level, and so on. There are more challenges and stuff in those new areas as well. I didn't really bother to go too much further with it at this point. I really like playing the game and riding around and doing stuff, but I was getting really tired of the challenges at this point. It's a big game, which is great if you paid $50 for it in 2002, but I've got 80 more games to review, so I gave it a rest for now. Okay, so what's the final verdict on this game? I thought it was genuinely really good. I also just finished playing Underground 2, and I'm gonna try to get this on the schedule for a review soon, but I think they have a lot of similarities. I think Thug 2 is one of the best games in that series from a career structure standpoint, and this game has a lot in common with it. There's a bit less refinement here though, it's got fewer tricks, but it seems like it's more focused on actually skating instead of getting Benjamin Franklin to grind on a cannon and shoot down a statue, that kind of stuff that's in Thug 2. By the way, I've talked a lot of crap about this game in the past, and I've actually been blown away by how good it really is. So stay tuned for that review soon. But as for this game, it's your call if you want to check it out. I think it's really good, especially for $3 to $5, which is about what I paid for it. The only major downfall is the fact that it's inline. But if you ever like playing BMX or snowboarding games, anything like that, I think you'll really like it. So let me know in the comments, are there any other games like this that I should check out? Kind of hidden gem games that are similar to skateboarding? Let me know about that below. Also, subscribe by hitting my logo on the screen so you don't miss out on my future game reviews like Thug 2. But in the meantime, here are some more videos that you might want to check out as well. Thank you for watching.